So I wasn't actually planning on this hike being the full adventure that it was. So I don't really have too many videos from the beginning. After work one day, I just felt like I wanted to get out, do some hiking, but that's a little more challenging. There are lots of good walking trails around here, but nothing that I hadn't really done before that was more scenic rather than city or urban. But I knew that there was the start of the C&O Canal towpath in DC. And I knew it probably would be more of kind of a city thing, but it goes really far. Ideally, I would be able to go, 6 miles out, 6 miles back and feel what that distance felt like on my body just walking. But when I got there, it was actually really beautiful. The canal starts out like right in DC near Georgetown, and it follows these pathways. And there was much more to the canal. It had this like historical feel to it. It was really cool. So even if you're there just using it as a path to get from one block to the next, I definitely recommend it. There were really cool old canal features. Going under the bridges and seeing all the cobblestones and the stonework was really, really neat. But after a while, you get out further and it becomes much more of a walking trail nature path, and it follows the Potomac. So you get intermittent views of the water. It's just really, really pretty, really nice area. And it was open, it was flat. There were lots of people, lots of cyclists. And the further out I got, I ended up doing about 4 miles on this trail, and I saw egrets or herons. There were some wild raspberries, or at least what I think are wild raspberries, some turtles. It was really fun, and the bugs weren't too bad, even though there was some standing water. My original plan was to walk out, as far as I wanted to, as my energy and the daylight allowed me, and then turn around and come back. I noticed that if I kept pushing on just a little bit past 4 miles, there was a bridge that crossed the Potomac from the DC side back into the Virginia side, and there was another trail that looked like it followed the Potomac on the other side that would bring me back towards home. And I was like, all right, well, I've already seen all this scenery. This will take me back basically to the same place. I can catch the metro at Roslyn instead of at Foggy Bottom. It'll be great, no big deal. And then of course there's lots of places along the Potomac, because this is a urban suburban area. I'm not out in the wilderness. If I wanted to, I could just get off the trail, call an Uber, and Uber the rest of the way home. And when I got to the bridge, I think it was Chain Bridge, I just thought it was going to be a place where I could cross and get onto the other side, but it opened up into this beautiful, scenic, expansive view that almost felt more like hiking in, the Appalachian Mountains. And it was this rocky river with all greenery on one side and almost a small cliff on the other side. And there were some houses, like I know where I was on the map, but I just couldn't believe that this view was, only a maybe 20 minutes drive from my apartment in Alexandria. It was crazy. It was a beautiful view. So once I got across the bridge, I connected to the Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail. I didn't realize until later it's actually one of, I think, 11 national scenic trails, and this is just a very small part of it. And I was just thinking it was going to be similar to the same experience I had on the other side, a nice wide walking path following the river all the way back, probably along the road. I think I had seen pieces of this trail. It's just a small path next to kind of a busy highway. I wasn't really expecting too much. I just figured something different would be nice on my way back. I got off the bridge and immediately kind of hit a literal roadblock. I couldn't figure out where to get on this trail. My map was showing me that there was a small turn off the road, and then it would go down and around, and I would be able to link up with the trail. And so I kind of climbed down, and I still didn't see anything. And then finally I found a sign, and I was like, great. And it was a really small kind of dirt track path. Totally fine. Something different. I was excited. And I go down, and it kind of dead ends. I ended up just in this rocky area near the water, and I realized I was off the path. Well, what had happened is the path had actually been washed out by storms. So the place where you'd actually get on from the road was gone. So I had to climb back up and around and go over across a ditch actually to get to a part of the path that I could actually see. But I decided to keep going after I found the path, and it was really neat. And I walked through woods for a little while. It didn't feel like I was right next to the highway. I could hear the cars, but I couldn't see anything. And I was pretty much the only one on the trail, at least to this point. And then I got to another rocky point in the path where I thought it disappeared again. I couldn't figure out where the path went until I saw some people at the bottom near the water and some railings. And I realized that I was going to be climbing over these giant boulders. Now, I'll stop here to say, for anybody concerned, there was no point at which I felt unsafe or that I was risking, a twisted ankle or worse, or that I was risking getting lost or anything like that. I had plenty of daylight. The trail was well marked after I figured out what I was actually looking for. I just wasn't expecting it to be this rugged of a trail, really. But once I realized where it was, getting over this kind of rocky part, I got down to the water and I basically followed the Potomac all the way back. But it was not a walking path like the C&O Canal. It was definitely more rugged feeling, where the path was going from dirt to rocks to dirt to sand to climbing over these big rocks again. It was more than I was expecting to be able to get for this hike. That's where I finally started realizing maybe I do want to record some of this. This is neat. This is more than I thought I was going to be able to find around here.
So I decided to take a different route back because I saw, I walked along the canal on one side, and then on the Virginia side of the river, I saw another path. I was like, oh, cool. Well, it's more than I bargained for, but it's really cool. But I came across the part of the trail, and there's some, yeah, turkey buzzard friends right there. And I don't know if they're aggressive or territorial. I've never had the chance to get real close to them. I don't know what they're gonna do. Go on, buzzards. I need to get past you. Please. I hope I don't get attacked by this thing. I wonder if I can throw something at him. Okay, so Mom will get me a stick. Just in case. Look, the other one's up there. I don't know what they're sitting here for. Got my hat on. So at least maybe he won't peck my eyes out. Not bothered? There he goes. I got really close to those before they left. So I survived the buzzards. Then I walked into this pretty clearing. And I see, whoop, I was all backwards. Somebody's picking up trash. Saw a couple people. I see the blaze right there. But like, what the heck? And look. I climb up this freaking thing. I could not believe I was a 15-minute metro ride from this trail. This is incredible. I recognize the point at which I shouldn't go any further. And I turned around and I'm going back to like a bailout point, so to speak. I'm gonna Uber back to the metro or back home, I don't know. This trail is a trail. It is so cool. But there's no bailout point past where I was going. So, I would have to make it all the way back or don't make it. And it's getting dark and I didn't bring all my extra stuff. And I knew it wasn't smart. So I'm going, retracing my steps about not even a quarter mile back to this waterfall kind of area. And there should be a path to get up and out of here. Back to like a road and like a park. Found my bailout. I wasn't sure because I pretty much just climbed up this freaking mountain next to the highway. This is the craziest thing. I had no idea all this was here. But I think if I keep going up, the highway's right there. So I just have to be Spider-Man to get up to it. But there's a park this way. So. What the heck? Do you see all this? I'm standing in the middle of like a dry riverbed. It's not totally dry. this big old rocks, and I have the place totally to myself.
So I ended up making my way into Potomac Overlook Regional Park, which in and of itself was a fantastic discovery. It was really beautiful. There weren't a whole lot of other people, enough to make me comfortable, but not so many that it felt crowded. I still had some solitude, especially for the time of day. And they were just beautiful parks that I really didn't expect to find in the middle of suburban Northern Virginia, just outside of DC. I would definitely recommend all three of these trails and parks.